dayattherange.com with the lethal Springfield Armory V16 and 45 Super. Mr. Revolver Guy here with dayattherange.com. On the range today with the venomous 45 Super. 1911 from Springfield Armory. My first time handling one of these and my first time seeing one of these. This one is in pristine condition with a great trigger on it. I've cleaned it up a little bit, borrowed it from a friend of mine. See, no magazine, nothing in the chamber, so it is safe, even though the hammer is back. As you can see, this 45 Super has 16 ports. It has Bomar sights, Bomar rear adjustable sight in the rear, and also black ramp front sight. Traditional 1911, but there are some changes that Springfield Armory has made to the V16 longslide to make it capable to handle the pressures of the 45 Super cartridge. So what we're going to do today, we've got some buffalo bore ammunition that we're going to fire across the chronograph to get some numbers to see how venomous this cartridge truly is. We're going to compare it to some 45 ACP traditional long ball that can be fired out of this 1911 and 45 ACP from Sig Sauer 185 grain compared to the 185 grain of the buffalo bore. We'll display all the numbers at the end of the video. A 45 Super in and of itself is a very high pressure cartridge, much higher pressure than the traditional 45 ACP. Much information out there about the 45 Super, many claiming it can be fired in the traditional 45 ACP. 45 ACP pistol. I would not recommend that. Springfield has done some things to this particular pistol to make sure it's capable of the 45 Super cartridge pressures. That is, one, the long slide and mass of the slide in and of itself. It has a stronger firing pin spring in it, stronger mainspring, and also stronger recoil spring. And talking with Springfield Armory directly, they say this particular pistol came with 2 recoil springs. One that enable it to fire the 45 ACP traditional, and the other that enables it to fire the 45 Super cartridge. I have the spring in it for the 45 Super cartridge, but I've also taken a little of additional care. I don't traditionally use them in my 1911s, but I've also put a Wilson shot buffer in this one just to prevent the slide from battering the frame. Enough of my talk. Let's see how venomous the 45 Super truly is. All right, first rounds we're going to put across the chronograph out of the Springfield V16 long slide 45 Super. Today is the traditional hardball Winchester 230 grain ammo. Our first load across the chronograph today. Let's see if we can get it. All right. All right, so obviously 45 ACP, not a problem for the V16. Looks like 862 feet per second on the chronograph there. We'll get the averages, post them up later at dayattherange.com. Now we're going to go with the Sig Sauer 45 ACP. Let me get that put in my chronograph. These rounds are supposed to be 990 feet per second. We'll see. All right. So, 45 ACP, traditional hardball and the Sig Sauer 185 grain works in both. I've got a Trip Research 8-round magazine and a traditional, I believe it's a traditional Springfield magazine, or whoever makes them for Springfield, probably Metgar, that came with the V16. Now we're going to load up. I'll be right back. We're going to load up both magazines with the Underwood 45 Super 230 grain and the other magazine with the 45 Super 185 grain. Shoot those across the chronograph and see what numbers we get. Stay tuned. All right, back with a magazine of 45 Super from Underwood 185 grain XTP. Let's put these bad boys across the chronograph and see what the numbers look like. Truly 45 Super. Again, I do not recommend the 45 Super and the traditional 45 ACP pistols without doing the work or the research on what you need to do to safely accomplish this. Let's put them across chronograph. Those are stout. 1,321 feet per second. I'll show you the numbers. Next up, the 230 grain XTP from Underwood. All right, back with the magazine loaded up with some 230 grain Underwood. These are supposed to be about 1,100 feet per second. Let's see what comes out. I will tell you the 185 grains were pretty stout. You can definitely feel and see increased velocity in the slide. But the porting on this makes the recoil very tame. Let's see how the 230 grain performs. Back with the 45 ACP Super 200 grain, I'm sorry, wrong box. 230 grain XTP loaded in the V16 longslide. Let's put it across the chronograph and see what numbers we get. I can say with the 185 grain, you can definitely tell a lot more recoil. The slide velocity, of course, is quite a bit more, but the porting on the V16 tames the recoil pretty much. Now, to the 230 grain, see what comes across the chronograph. All right, got all 5 readings. Looks like close to 1,100 feet per second, which is what Underwood says on the box. Comes out to about 1066. 45 Super is supposed to be just about the equivalent to the 10 millimeter round. But I'm not here to compare the 10 millimeter to the 45 Super today. But what I will say, I believe the 10 millimeter being a little bit more versatile, because there are 1911s and platforms specifically made, or more availability of ammunition, and also platforms that are specifically made for the 10 millimeter. What I can say, this V16 on the range today has performed superbly. And I'm pretty impressed with the numbers that I see in the 45 Super, and definitely wouldn't feel undergunned when facing down a hog in deep bush. Mr. Revolver Guy, DayAtTheRange.com.